Imagine sinking into an ocean so deep that sunlight has never touched it, not once. Down here, the world changes. Creatures don't just look strange. They feel like they belong in another universe entirely. Some have glowing lures hanging from their heads. Some have teeth so sharp they can bite through bone. And others are so old they've outlived entire empires. This is not the ocean that we know from beaches and summer trips. This is a hidden world, beneath everything we see, where life has evolved in complete darkness. And today, we're getting straight into the nightmare fuel that lives down there. The creature that lives where sunlight dies. By a creature that lives where sunlight dies, we speak of life in one of Earth's most remote alien places, the aphotic zone, as it's also known, or the midnight zone. This part of the ocean begins below around 1,000 meters, where no sunlight can get through. Imagine getting down through pitch black water, not just dark, but profoundly dark, a place where everything we know about life on the surface changes. The ocean down here is cold, the pressure is crushing, and food is incredibly scarce. Sunlight does not reach here, and therefore no plants or algae that photosynthesize can be found. The only sources of energy come either in the form of bits of organic matter drifting down from the upper layers, a process that scientists refer to as marine snow, or, at places such as hydrothermal vents, in the form of chemicals that the organisms can use to produce food via chemosynthesis. Because there's no sun, deep-sea animals have evolved in some really wild and weird ways. Some of them light up all by themselves, a phenomenon called bioluminescence. More than 75% of open ocean deep-sea animals generate their own light, which they use for attracting prey, hiding from predators, or even communicating. Other adaptations range from having soft, squishy bodies that could withstand the enormous pressure to ultra-sensitive eyes, or even skins that are completely transparent. One great example of a creature that truly thrives in this where sunlight dies world is the viperfish. These fish live in deep zones. Mesopelagic and bathipelagic are well known for their terrifying needle-like teeth and hinged jaws. They also possess photophores, light-producing organs, to help them blend in with the very faint ambient light or to lure prey. Then there are even stranger animals like the vampire squid. Despite its name, it's not a bloodsucker, but it is a master of survival in total darkness. It lives at great depths in oxygen-minimum zones and has a super slow metabolism, which helps it survive in such extreme conditions. The conditions in this zone, such as freezing temperatures, crushing pressure, and no food, are so extreme that only the most specialized organisms can live here. And yet, despite all that, the deep sea teems with bizarre, beautiful, and downright eerie life. Thus, the creature living where sunlight dies is not one monster, but an entire hidden kingdom of creatures of the night, each uniquely built for survival in a world that is pitch black, endlessly silent, and wildly unforgiving. The fish with a see-through head. Lurking deep in the ocean is a fish unlike almost anything you've ever seen. The barrel-eye fish, scientifically called Macropina microstoma. What makes it so strange is its transparent, dome-shaped head filled with fluid. You can literally see its eyes, brain, and nerve circuits inside. This fish usually lives at 600 to 800 meters, that is approximately 2,000 to 2,600 feet, in a part of the sea where sunlight barely reaches, if at all. In this darkness, super-sensitive eyes are a must, and barrel eyes are just that. Tubular in shape, their eyes are capped with bright green lenses, which collect whatever light is available. But there's a second surprise in store. Those two dark spots on the front of its face, those that give the appearance of eyes, are in fact olfactory organs, like nostrils, not eyes. The real eyes are actually deeper inside the clear dome. What's even more remarkable, scientists noticed that these eyes could rotate. They typically face upwards, apparently to observe prey silhouetted above, but when the fish wants to feed, it points them forward. Why this weird setup? Scientists believe that the transparent shield over its head shields its eyes from the stinging tentacles of other deep-sea animals, especially jellyfish-like siphonophores, from which the barrel eye might steal food. The green pigment in its eyes likely helps too. It may act like a filter, letting the fish ignore sunlight that still trickles down, while focusing on the bioluminescent glow of prey. When it swims, it doesn't dart around in any direction like many fish. Instead, it simply hovers almost motionless, employing its big, flat fins for stability. With such a tiny mouth, it has to be a choosy eater. Its diet includes tiny zooplankton, crustaceans, and perhaps even organisms caught up in siphonophore webs. It's a very rare, as well as difficult creature to study. Despite the thousands of deep dives scientists have done, they've only managed to capture the barrel eye on camera a handful of times. Until recently, no one really knew what its see-through head was all about. Parts of it would get damaged when nets brought the fish to the surface. The barrel eye fish is a perfect example of how the deep sea creates creatures that seem more like science fiction than reality. The see-through head, rotating green eyes, and the uncanny way of hunting make it one of the most fascinating and eerie of fish in the world. The eel that can stretch its jaw like a horror movie monster. Say hello to the gulper eel or pelican eel by the scientific name Eurypharynx pelicanoides. What makes this eel terrifying is that its mouth is enormous and balloon-like. The lower jaw is hinged at the base of its head, and its skin is highly stretchable. When it hunts, it can suddenly inflate its mouth, expanding it so wide that the head looks like a huge black sack. But this jaw isn't for show. The gulper eel uses it to scoop up much larger prey than itself. Because the jaw is hinged so loosely, it can be unfolded and stretched, allowing the eel to catch and swallow large meals in one gulp. Once inside, the eel's stomach does its own magic. It stretches too, giving the eel room to devour and digest large food. Here's where the horror feel kicks in. The gulper eel doesn't just gulp prey whole. When it opens up its mouth, it also sucks in a large volume of water. Later, that water is pumped out through its gills while the prey stays trapped inside. It's not a fast swimmer. Its tiny eyes and weak fins mean it probably lies in wait, relying on this massive mouth to do the work when something gets close. The gulper eel even uses bioluminescence to attract prey. An organ near the tip of its tail contains light that glows pink or red, luring curious creatures toward its waiting jaws. The eel inflates its mouth once more to trap the prey, once the danger is close enough. Scientists got one of those rare views of a gulper eel shortly after it had dined. Its stomach was visibly swollen, so extended that scientists suspected that it had just ingested something reasonably large, like squid. The existence of this eel is a powerful reminder that when food is in short supply in the deep sea, survival requires incredible adaptations. In truth, it is among the most bizarre, efficient, and even creepy predators in the ocean due to its huge, elastic mouth, with the ability to both stretch its jaw and stomach. This shark has lived longer than entire civilizations. A shark is swimming in cold, dark oceans today that may be older than many human civilizations, the Greenland shark. Scientists believe some individuals of this species can live for 400 years or more, which would make it the longest-lived vertebrate known to science. This shark grows very slowly, in fact, about 1 centimeter each year, almost glacially compared to other animals. Because of this slow pace, it takes about 150 years to reach sexual maturity. To calculate how old they actually get, scientists dated the center of their eye lenses, a tissue that essentially records time like the rings of a tree using radiocarbon dating. One study of 28 female sharks estimated that the largest ones, at about 5 meters in length, were 335 and 392 years old. Inhabiting the icy waters of the North Atlantic and Arctic, they spend most of their lives in cold depths. Their slow metabolism, helped by the freezing environment, is one big reason they age so slowly. Recent genetic research has revealed that the DNA of Greenland sharks provides them with special adaptations, including extra copies of genes implicated in inflammation control and DNA repair. Those may be the secret to their extraordinary longevity. Despite their massive size, growing over 6 meters in length, sharks are not fast swimmers. They cruise through the dark waters at a very relaxed pace. Their long life also places them in a vulnerable position. They reproduce very slowly, and because they grow so old, any threat to their population can have a huge impact. This shark is not just a living fossil, it's a reminder that in the deep ocean, life operates on a scale that's completely different from our own. While human history spans centuries, some Greenland sharks could have been alive when the Mayflower landed, or even when Shakespeare was writing. The squid with eyes the size of dinner plates. The giant squid, Architeuthis, has eyes that can reach 27 centimeters in diameter, about 10 inches, roughly the size of a dinner plate. These organs are huge and rank among the largest in the entire animal kingdom. Why such huge eyes? The deep ocean is almost pitch dark, and every bit of light is valuable. With those huge eyes, the squid can detect very faint flickers of bioluminescence. In fact, research has shown that such faint trails of light, which a sperm whale, their largest predator, churns out when disturbing plankton, may enable them to detect danger long before the actual whale approaches. That said, giant squid don't just grow big eyes for show. Some scientists argue that their huge peepers are not entirely out of proportion when you factor in how big the squid's body is. In other words, giant squids may be simply following a scaling rule seen in other squid species: large body, large eyes. Yet the benefit of having such huge eyes is obvious. In the squid's deep-sea world, it must detect everything from small bioluminescent creatures to large predators. Big eyes mean more light is gathered, which helps them detect even very dim shapes in the darkness. These eyes are huge and built for precision. Each is fitted with a hard lens, similar to the lens of a camera or telescope. The giant squid has a very small brain compared to its body, and the esophagus actually passes right through the center of the brain, very strange but true characteristic. Though rare, scientists have been able to study such eyes from dead specimens. Those studies support the hypothesis that these huge squid eyes really provide a strong advantage to the animal in the dark of the deep ocean. The giant squid's eyes aren't big just for shock value. They're a robust evolutionary tool tuned to the eerie glow of the deep sea, helping this legendary creature survive in one of the scariest places on Earth. The creature scientists call the zombie of the sea. There is a creature that scientists have come to call the zombie worm. And honestly, this worm really deserves the name. Its scientific name, however, is Ossidax, Latin for bone eater. These worms were found in 2002 by researchers using a submersible off California, where they were living inside the bones of a dead grey whale sitting on the ocean floor. The wild thing is that these worms do not have a mouth or a stomach. Instead, they secrete acid through their skin and dissolve the lipids and proteins of whale bones. Once the bone is broken down, Ossidax relies on the symbiotic bacteria in its body to digest what it needs. You usually see the female zombie worms. They grow a little plume that floats outside of their tube-like body to absorb oxygen while their root-like structures bore into the bone. Fascinatingly, the male Ossidax worms are very small, much smaller than their females, and they actually live inside the female's mucus tube. More than 30 species of these worms have been identified at the whalefall sites all over the world. These zombie worms play a critical role in deep-sea ecosystems because they feed on whale skeletons. They help recycle nutrients from massive dead creatures and make use of what would otherwise be wasted bone, but their presence is not a given. Recently, some researchers placed whale bones on the seafloor and, to their surprise, no zombie worms showed up. That absence is a real concern, because should those worms disappear, the process of breaking down large carcasses in the deep ocean might significantly slow down, disrupting how nutrients are cycled within those remote regions. Even though they don't look like anything you'd see in a zombie movie, Ossidax worms deserve the name zombie of the sea. Their bone-eating lifestyle, lack of mouth or stomach, and symbiotic survival strategy all feel like something out of a sci-fi horror story, but they're very real, and they're quietly doing their weird but essential work deep at the bottom of the ocean. The octopus that disappears into thin water. In the deep sea, there is an octopus that has seemed almost magical to people. A creature able to vanish into thin water because it's almost entirely invisible. This is sometimes called the glass octopus, Vitreledonella richardi. Its body is so transparent that its internal organs can actually be seen. Scientists have observed the optic nerve, the eyes, and the digestive tract floating inside its clear mantle. The glass octopus lives between about 200 and 3,000 meters deep in the mesopelagic, twilight zone, and bathipelagic zones. At depths where sunlight barely flickers, being transparent gives an octopus a huge survival advantage. Predators have difficulty finding it because when light filters down to that range, most of the octopus's body lets that light pass right through. Scientists have also found another, but related trick in another deep ocean octopus, Japetella heathi. An octopus can change its appearance. It could be transparent at one moment and then turn on colorful pigments via special skin cells called chromatophores in the blink of an eye to become opaque when it feels any danger. Studies show that in the event that a predator's light shines on it, J. heathi flips from see-through to red and later changes back to transparency when the threat has vanished. This two-mode camouflage is for a smart reason. In deep water, some predators use silhouette to spot prey, while others use bioluminescent searchlights. The octopus, by switching between transparency and pigmentation, can match its appearance to the type of threat. In the case of the glass octopus, it doesn't rely on pigment changes. Its almost invisible body is its main defense. Only a few parts are not see-through, including the eyes, the digestive tract, and some nerves. When biologists actually filmed one during a deep-sea expedition, they saw just how ghostly it looked as it slipped through the water like a living glass shadow. This vanishing act in octopuses exists as a powerful reminder that evolution, in extreme environments, drives the most imaginative solutions. Living in places where hiding spots are few and dangers come literally from all directions, invisibility can mean all the difference between life and being somebody else's meal. The glass octopus and its transparent relatives feel like secrets of the deep, reminding one that the ocean still holds wonders far stranger than we can easily imagine. This vampire squid wasn't named for fun. Vampire squid is much more about attitude than blood. Its scientific name, Vampiroteuthis infernalis, literally means vampire squid from hell. They live in one of the most inhospitable and bizarre parts of the ocean, between 600 and approximately 1,500 meters deep, where oxygen is super scarce. Unlike its shallow water cephalopod cousins, the vampire squid does not have an ink sac. That's because in the pitch-black depths that it inhabits, inking isn't of much use. Instead, when threatened, it draws its 8 arms and the webbing between them up over its own body in what scientists call a pineapple posture. In this position, the dark inner surface of its mantle faces outwards to help it camouflage itself against the surrounding blackness. What makes this a truly vampiric trick is the sticky bioluminescent mucus it can emit. On the tip of its arms lie the photophores, light-producing organs that light up if the squid feels threatened. It ejects this glowing mucus cloud, and the light show can last several minutes to startle a predator long enough to make a getaway. Sometimes the mucus even sticks to the predator, acting like a burglar alarm by marking the attacker so something else might come after it. Even more interesting is the way it eats. The vampire squid lives in an oxygen minimum zone, where levels of oxygen are so low that most creatures can hardly survive. Its metabolism is very slow compared with that of other cephalopods, so it doesn't require much oxygen. Instead of hunting for food, it consumes marine snow, composed of dead plankton, small particles of organic material, and even fecal pellets that fall through the water. It captures food using 2 thin filaments, long secretive appendages that reach out to gather particles, then bring them into a sticky mucus ball that the squid eats. Its eyes are very large for its body size, proportionally among the biggest in the animal kingdom, helping it take advantage of any faint glow in its dark world. Bioluminescence is produced by photophores throughout the body, especially on the mantle, head, and arms. Despite its spooky name and gothic appearance, The vampire squid is not a bloodsucker. It doesn't hunt big prey. Instead, it survives by drifting slowly, using barely any energy and harvesting the little food that drifts by. Its form, behavior, and radiant defenses all serve to illustrate just how creatively strange life in the deep sea evolves. The shark that has a chainsaw for a face. Then there is this weird, almost alien shark that deep-sea explorers sometimes refer to as the shark with a chainsaw for a face, more formally known as the goblin shark, Mitsukurina austoni. What makes it so uncanny is its long, flattened snout sticking out like a blade. That snout is filled with sensory organs called ampullae of Lorenzini, which let it detect tiny electric fields in the dark waters. Even more startling is the way its mouth operates. The goblin shark has extremely protrusible jaws that, in an instant, it can shoot forward in a catapult-like fashion to snatch prey. Ligaments are like stretched rubber bands, storing energy that launches the jaw in an ultra-fast forward motion when it strikes. It has long, needle-like teeth that are ideal for grasping slippery fish, squid, and crustaceans. The goblin shark's body is soft and flabby, unlike the streamlined, muscular kind you may picture for other shark species. Its skin is pale pink-grey in color, giving it a ghostly, almost translucent appearance, because blood vessels lie very close to the surface. Because it lives at great depth, sometimes more than 1,200 meters, it doesn't rely much on speed to catch food. Its long snout isn't just for show. In the darkness of the deep sea, eyesight is not always very reliable, so those electroreceptors help it find prey by sensing very weak electrical signals. It zeroes in, then it slowly creeps forward to fire its jaw out to grab whatever it was tracking. Despite the ferocious look, goblin sharks are not known to attack humans. Their hunting style is far more adapted to the deep sea world. Ambush predator, surprisingly efficient, adapted for an environment where energy is low and survival is all. They slowly drift by, use a minimal amount of energy, and only strike at exactly the right moment. The goblin shark is also a subject of great scientific interest because it belongs to an ancient lineage. It's the only living species in its family, Mitsukurinidae, which means its ancestors go back millions of years. In short, this chainsaw-faced shark isn't a monster made for horror. It's actually a marvel of evolution. Its strange snout, stretchy jaw, and slow, deliberate hunting style show just how creepy and clever life in the deep sea can get. The deep-sea spider that grows bigger than your hand. There is a deep-sea creature that many call the giant sea spider, and it's as eerie as it sounds, but not at all what we think of when we hear the word spider. These creatures belong to a group called cycnogonids, not true spiders, but they share the long, skinny legs that make them look spider-like to us. Some deep-sea sea spiders can grow to a leg span of 50 centimeters or more, greater than half a meter in fact, which easily beats the size of your hand and then some. The Colossendi's Colossea species is particularly huge. The longest known individuals reach up to 70 centimeters across. These sea spiders live in some of the ocean's deepest and coldest places. Mbari, Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute, reports finding them at depths between 2,200 and 4,000 meters. Their long, stilt-like legs aren't merely creepy in appearance, they actually support their vital organs. Many of their internal systems, including digestion and reproduction, extend into those very legs, unlike in other land animals. These giant pycnogonids do not spin webs when it comes to feeding. Rather, they make use of a very long tubular mouthpart known as a proboscis to suction up soft-bodied prey, like sea anemones, hydroids, and small invertebrates. Their proboscis is actually a very important organ. It's how they can eat while their body remains mostly still at the ocean bottom. Another weird thing about their biology is how they breathe. Sea spiders do not have lungs or gills in the same way that many marine animals do. At deep depths, their bodies absorb oxygen directly through their exoskeleton. In fact, because their legs are so long, parts of their physiology, including digestion and reproduction, are actually housed in their legs. They also possess more than the average 8 legs. Some species sport supplementary limbs used for cleaning, mating rituals, or even carrying their young. This is part of what makes them so alien-looking, especially when seen under deep-sea lighting conditions. Even though they appear terrifying, these giant sea spiders are no threat to people, lacking both venom and fangs, as would a creepy land spider. But their sheer size, thin body, and spindly legs make them a living reminder that the deep ocean is full of life forms that are stranger than anything on land. During deep-sea dives, scientists have filmed these creatures slowly walking across the sea floor, their long legs carrying not just their own bodies, but their very organs. These sea spiders show how evolution in the deep ocean takes bizarre turns. Their giant size, weird anatomy, and silent, slow life all come together to make them feel far more like a nightmare out of a sci-fi movie than an actual animal. And yet, it really exists, crawling on the ocean floor far below us. If you made it this far, thank you for spending your time with me on this deep-sea journey. The Greenland shark is one of those mysteries that reminds us how much of our world is still unexplored, still misunderstood, and still full of surprises. If you enjoyed learning about its myths, its unbelievable lifespan, and the way it shaped old maritime stories, make sure to hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow.